Hello, everyone. Well, I'm very sorry. I apologize for not making a video for a couple of weeks now. For a couple of weeks now, a couple of Wednesdays have gone by without me making my video. I've just been so busy. I've been so busy. I've been busy every single second. Every single available second has been taken up by school, shopping, cleaning, taking care of the household, everything, cooking, everything. I had to do everything. I had to do everything all by myself. My mom has stopped helping me. She doesn't do anything around the house anymore, so it's all on me. It's all on me to do everything. And usually, and that's the way it's always been. It's always been all on me because she won't do anything. She doesn't like housework. She's willing to do a job, but she's not willing to do housework. And now she's retired, so she's on vacation, permanent vacation. I'm her new servant, and she doesn't do anything. So that's the end. That's the end for me. I don't get any more freedom. My freedom's over. I have to do everything. I have to do everything. So I've been very busy. Very, very busy. So I apologize for not making a video sooner. I try to make my video on time, but sometimes it just doesn't work out. So in the news, about a week ago, there was an attempted hijacking. Delta Flight 386. Delta Flight 386, and there was a flight attendant, Christopher Williams. He pinned the would-be hijacker to the floor in the aisle of the plane, and flight attendant. There were a couple of guys that helped him, and he had a zip tie, and he zip tied the guy's hands, and the guy was restrained, and they took him away. They landed in Albuquerque and took this guy away. And Christopher Williams is a hero. Could have been another 9/11. Could have been. And there's been a few attempted hijackings. Also, there was a guy in Belarus, was a journalist, and they wanted to arrest him because he said some bad things about Belarus. So they say they're just accusing Belarus of hijacking the plane, and saying that they accused the journalist of being the hijacker, and then they took him away. They took him away and arrested him, and he's going to get a death sentence, I think. I think they're going to chop his head off. So, hijacking is in the news. There's more and more unruly passengers. There was an unruly passenger that didn't like wearing a mask. So, she punched a flight attendant right in the face and knocked a couple of her teeth out. People don't do that on a plane. Please don't do that on a plane. If you're going to do that someplace else. Do that at your local neighborhood bar or your watering hole at the very least. Don't ever do that on a plane. Not after 9/11. That's classless. You're not a class act if you do something like that. It's classless. And it's people that are doing these things, punching flight attendants in faces, trying to hijack planes, trying to yell stop the flight and get into a cockpit. Obviously they're pretty classless people, but some of them might actually be potential hijackers. It was some guy that last year that was trying to hijack a plane, and he wanted a terrorist attack. It was going to be another 9/11, and he was from Kenya. He was a Kenyan, and he was a Kenyan national. and they got him. They stopped him. He was associated with Al Qaeda. He was associated with Al Qaeda, and he wanted to commit another 9/11, and he was reading about how to do it, and they found evidence that he'd been searching for it. Well, they caught and arrested that guy too. That was last year. But somebody knocking on the was a barefoot passenger. The passenger was barefoot. He wasn't wearing shoes or socks. He was barefoot, and he was yelling, "Stop the plane," and knocking, and he was going up and down the aisles and doing crazy things. He was mentally ill, and there was something wrong with him. And he was yelling, "Stop the flight," and banging on the cabin door. They got him. They took him away. So tragedy averted once again. But these things keep happening. I don't understand it. Christopher Williams is a hero. He stopped this guy from diverting the flight or possibly crashing it into a building. So that was good. But who knows what these guys are going to do next? Who knows what they'll do next? Who knows, right? People were inspired by 9/11, wanted to commit more crimes. They were inspired by 9/11 to commit these crimes. Before 9/11, people didn't think about hijacking planes. Now, after 9/11, they're thinking about hijacking planes. It's the same thing with Columbine. Before Columbine, nobody thought about shooting up a school. No one would have ever even dreamed of shooting up a school. Then after 9/11, after Columbine, everyone was thinking of mass shootings. These mass shootings have been going on since Columbine. There were no mass shootings before Columbine, none. Can you even imagine a world like that with no mass shootings? But it's true. There were none. It's planted the seed, people's minds. Could it have been possibly the powers that be planting these thoughts and these ideas in people's minds? Maybe to drum up more business for law enforcement? I don't know. It's possible. I don't know what the powers that be are plotting. They're always plotting. And the law enforcement, even if they're getting business drummed up for them, they're making it a more dangerous world for law enforcement too. Their jobs are scarier and more dangerous. Really, law enforcement doesn't need to be justified, because you have to have law enforcement. You can't have a civilization without law enforcement. So you really don't need to do anything to justify their jobs. In fact, if you do that, you're just making law enforcement's job more dangerous, and you're making it more dangerous for the citizens. You're making it more dangerous for ordinary citizens. You hurt everyone. You just hurt everyone. But the powers that be thinking that they're wiser than us. They think that they're gods. They think they're gods. And they think in their wisdom that they know better than us. And that they know that these certain bloodlettings are necessary. There's all sorts of groups involved. There's all sorts of people with groups of people with diverse motives and things that motivate them, and diverse agendas, things that they want to accomplish, ambitions that they want to accomplish. So, also in the news is Winston Smith. Winston Smith, he was shot by an FBI federal task force. There's a federal task force that goes after convicted felons who are on the lam, who have escaped or run away from parole, and who are on the loose. So, Winston Smith was shot by this task force. They claim that he had a gun, and that he pulled it out and was shooting at the officers, resisting arrest and shooting at the officers to get away. And the woman who was with him, his lawyer was with him, she claims she never saw a gun and that he didn't whip out any gun. And the law enforcement is claiming, well, we have evidence. We have proof that there's bullets from his gun, and we have proof. We have the gun, and we have all the evidence we need. So it's he said, she said. He said, law enforcement, the task force said, and then she said, the lawyer, claiming that there was no gun. We don't know at this point. We don't know. We don't know what happened. We don't know. But despite that fact, despite the fact that we don't know, we can't weigh in, we can't pass judgment one way or the other as far as Winston Smith's family is concerned. That task force is guilty as charged because it's their beloved. It's their beloved. He's beloved by them. He's their great love. He's their great love. The love of their lives. That's his family. And they think the task force is guilty and that Winston is innocent. He would have never had a gun. Even though he was a felon. Even though he was a felon, he would have never had a gun. It just wasn't in his nature. He wasn't capable of shooting at police. That wasn't in his nature. He could never do that. Not our Winston. Our Winston wouldn't do such a thing. Our Winston wasn't capable of doing that. He didn't have a bad bone in his body, and he couldn't do something like that. Even if he was a felon, he couldn't do it. Even if he was a felon, he couldn't do it. He just wasn't capable. It could not have happened, ever. So the task force is guilty. And of course, it's all about the brothers. He's a brother. They were even saying he was a brother. They called him brother. Because he's a brother, and they keep doing these things to brothers, they're guilty. They're guilty. And I don't know. I don't know if they're guilty. I don't know one way or another. I'm not going to pass judgment. I'm not going to pass judgment on anyone. I'm not going to say anyone's guilty. I'm not going to say anyone's innocent. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Winston was an innocent victim. I don't know. I'm not going to pass judgment. I'm not going to pass judgment on the task force either. I don't know. I don't know if who's innocent, who's guilty, who had a gun, who didn't, who shot at who first, who shot at all. I don't know. I don't know. It's just a conflict of interest. Now do you see what happens when people don't have body cams? Body cams are something really nice to have, aren't they? Because then there can be no question and the evidence can be released right away and there can be no dispute as to what happened. Then families can't immediately claim that their beloved was totally innocent and that the law enforcement are totally guilty because law enforcement are all the bad guys, see? And even if he did have a gun, even if he did shoot at them, that was justified because they're the bad guys, right? They're just bad guys for doing their jobs. We shouldn't even have jobs like that. We should just eliminate them. All police, all FBI, all law enforcement, all task forces, all prisons. Wouldn't that be great to have just a bunch of killers running around on the streets every single day and no prisons to lock them up? It would be back to the Wild West. That's the way it should be. But only for the brothers. You got to keep this in mind. You have to remember this. You have to remember this. Only for the brothers. These white people that commit mass shootings. They're terrible people. We need to take their guns away. Right now. There's two things we need to do. We need to take all guns away from all white people before they commit another mass shooting. And at the same time, we need to liberate all the brothers. It's what we need to do. It's what we need to do. We just need to weaken America as much as we possibly can because America is the great evil. It's the the great Satan. That's right. America is the great Satan. As if you even believe in Satan. I don't believe in Satan. I don't believe in Satan, but If you believe in Satan, that's all right. That's fine. America's the great Satan. Well, that's the party line. That's what liberals are telling us. And liberals aren't all that bad. They're not all bad. They support social freedoms to a certain extent. They don't support freedom of speech at all. They're talking now about eliminating freedom of speech. The liberals are. But and they shouldn't even be called liberals, because if they're not for freedom of speech, then they're not true liberals. They're not classic liberals, at any rate. But they really have no reason to call them liberals anymore. We have to think of a better name for them than liberals. We could just call them the Democratic Party. We could say that. We could say Democrats want to eliminate freedom of speech. And Democrats, because liberal isn't, that's not fair. They really don't deserve to be called liberals. Just call them Democrats. The Democratic Party now, which was the party of slavery and of racism. Now the Democratic Party wants to eliminate freedom of speech. And they want to take all guns away. And they want to eliminate all brothers, but I mean, not eliminate. Maybe they do want to eliminate, but they want to liberate all the brothers, supposedly. But maybe they will be eliminating the brothers pretty soon. Maybe they will. Maybe they will eliminate brothers, because there's been 260 shootings in Minneapolis alone just this past year. Just think of all the brothers that died. Just think about it. Think about all the brothers that died. 260 shootings. It wasn't white people getting shot. It wasn't all white people. It was brothers. So maybe they are trying to eliminate the brothers, but they're trying to supposedly now liberate the brothers. The felons. People that shoot at the police. The people that shoot innocent children. They want to liberate them now. All the felons. And eliminate all law enforcement. Because law enforcement is no good for black people, white people. We don't need law enforcement. They're good for nothing. They're good for nothing. Just eliminate the police now. And eliminate all the prisons and eliminate the criminal justice system. Because that's the system. Remember, it's a racist system. Because it's a racist system. Because there happen to be brothers in prison. And there happen to be brothers that are convicted felons. So because they happen to be brothers, what does skin color have to do with it? They want us to think skin color has something to do with it. They want us to think skin colors have something to do with it. But what does skin color really have to do with it? Really, what does it have to do with it? Well, there are certain things that it does have to do with. You can open up another whole can of worms in another discussion, but why bother? Skin color has nothing to do with it. The Democratic Party wants us to think about skin color. They want us to see skin color. They want us to make distinctions based on skin color. And they want us to care about skin color and judge based on skin color. The Democratic Party's raison d'etre would be eliminated if we didn't care at all about skin color at all, ever, anywhere in America. So they have to keep racism going. And they are. Stirring up a whole pot of racism. Stirring the pot. Stirring up racism. Making people think about race. Making people into racists. That's their job now. It's their motive. But what's behind that motive? Oh, it's 100 more years of the Democratic Party. That's what's behind it. It's their power base. Their power base is people who care about race. So they have to get us thinking about race and looking at race and wanting to look at race and thinking about race and judging based on people's skin color, because that keeps the whole operation afloat. That's how they're going to push through socialism, and that's how they're going to justify their social programs. Going to justify the whole enchilada using race. That's it. Nothing else. Not even gender. They don't care about gender anymore. It's just all about race. I don't know. I can't agree with that. I don't like looking at people's skin color and judging them based on their skin color. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. I don't like that. So you want people to think about race and look at race. Of course there's racism. Of course there is. Of course it's a problem. Of course people are having trouble finding jobs, good paying jobs. People are having trouble paying the rent. People are having trouble staying alive. And they're committing felonies, some of them, to make ends meet. Of course that's a problem. But why should we look at race? Why should we look at skin color and judge people based on their skin color? It doesn't seem right, does it? It doesn't seem right. We have to draw a line somewhere. We have to say, the buck stops here. Let's end this. We're not going to look at race anymore under any circumstances. We're not going to judge you based on the color of your skin. We're not going to tell 5-year-olds that come to school to be ashamed of their skin color and say why they're ashamed to be white or any other race. If they did that to any other race, it would be considered racism. So we're not going to allow it. We're not going to allow them to do that to our children. And I'd yank my kid right out of school. I won't even, if I ever have kids, I don't have kids, but if I ever had kids, I would never send them to any public school that taught them to see race and to look at skin color and to be ashamed of their race. Why? Why should we? Why should we look at race? Why should we discriminate based on skin color? We should be colorblind. That's the way we should be. That's the way it always has been, and the way it always should be. Some people aren't colorblind. Some people see race. We call them racists, and that's what they are. So if you play into that whole deal, you're a racist. It's that simple. Doesn't matter what skin color. Doesn't matter whether they're white or brown or blue or purple or orange or green or yellow or red. It doesn't matter what color your skin is. Give me a break. And all of these Democrats figured this out. They're closet racists. These Democrats. I'm not going to call them liberals because they don't deserve that moniker. They're closet racists. Yeah, they are. They think that black people need to be kept under their thumb, and treated like little children. I think they need to be treated like little children, and they need to be cared for and taken care of like little children. And you bring a person so low when you keep them on welfare. It's brought me low. Bring a person so low, give them no sense of autonomy. They can't even buy a car ever. They can't buy a car. They can't drive around town. They have to walk on foot with their groceries. They can't live. They're not allowed to own more than $2,000 worth of assets and cash combined. $2,000. Could you live on $2,000 for very long? There's no safety net. There's nothing for an emergency. just keep people under their thumb on welfare. Status quo Joe wants to keep people on welfare. He wants to expand the welfare state greatly, many times over. And make us more, it's a big, massive transfer of wealth. It's going to come from the middle class. The wealthiest people aren't going to pay even 1 penny. And they still don't pay even 1 penny. Status quo Joe is keeping us under his thumb. He wants to spend $6 trillion next year. Oh, we spent $2 trillion this year. Now we're going to spend $6 trillion next year. And that's just the beginning. He wants to spend $22 trillion over 4 years. That money doesn't come from thin air. It comes from inflation, and it comes from national debt. We're going to owe so much money to so many people. We're going to owe so much money. Who do you think we're going to owe it to? Of course, it's going to be the super rich. The rich are going to get richer, and the poor are going to get poorer under Status Quo Joe's plan. Status Quo Joe, guess how many? He's a generous guy. Guess how many Far East Asians he's letting into the country next year? Just the Far East. 7,000. Now, 7,000 may seem like a lot to you, but it really isn't compared to the number of people who would like to come here. It's not a lot. He could let millions of people come here, but he'd have to let them come over to America with the clothes on their backs. And he's not willing to do that. These people have to be resettled. They all have to be resettled. He's going to give each of the 7,000 lucky customers a big fat paycheck to resettle them. He's only letting refugees over. So if you're not a refugee, you're out of luck. You can't come to America. Even though Status Quo Joe's ancestors were Irish Catholics who came over to America on steamships, landed here, came with the clothes on their backs, settled and made a good life for themselves. Just with the clothes on their backs, they had no belongings when they came here. Status Quo Joe doesn't want to allow people to do that. He doesn't want to allow other people to have the advantages that his ancestors obtained. That he obtained through his ancestors. So he wants to only allow 7,000 people over. That doesn't seem really generous. 7,000, wow. Even though America's a country of 330 million. Doesn't seem like a lot now, does it? Compared to 330 million. He could let 1 million people over. He could even let 6 million people over. He just wouldn't be able to resettle them. And why should he resettle them? Let them come with the clothes on their backs. Within a year, they'll all own businesses. They'll all be enriching the American economy. And then they'll be making jobs for Americans. But Status Quo Joe doesn't want to allow that, no. No, not Status Quo Joe. Status Quo Joe wants to increase welfare. He wants to increase the pressure on the American people financially. He wants us to owe so much money. He wants us to pay so much money for all of his plans. He makes it sound good. He says he's going to get the rich to pay for it. Just like Donald Trump claimed that he got Mexico to pay for the wall. He didn't get Mexico to pay for the wall. No, he did not. And Status Quo Joe isn't going to tax the rich either. It's never going to fly through Congress. He's never going to pass it through Congress. And he can't do it through presidential executive order either, because it would be challenged in the courts. The courts would shoot it down. They've got a conservative Supreme Court now, and they would shoot it down. They wouldn't allow Status Quo Joe to pass an executive order imposing a wealth tax. He's not going to get it to fly through Congress. and he's not going to be able to pass an executive order. So what can status quo Joe do? Oh, he can tax the American taxpayer $22 trillion, more than's ever been spent in the history of America, right? Over decades. He's going to tax us to death. And he's going to put America so deeply in debt that we are going to owe the world. Yeah, we're going to owe the world. We're going to owe the whole world. It'll be worse than the Carter years. Worse, if that can even be imagined. So, don't know what to tell you folks. Pretty soon you're going to be broke. Status quo Joe is coming after your funds. He's coming after your tax dollars. He's going to put America deeply in debt. Want to know what inflation does? Right. Makes your money worth less. Worthless. And did you know it's a hidden tax? It's a hidden tax because the inflation is based on the national debt. Okay? This is how the creature from Jekyll Island works. First, they spend, right? When they spend, it creates debt, national debt. In order to create the money to pay for these programs, they have to issue tender money. They have to issue debt notes. And that's what a dollar bill is. Dollar bill is a debt note. So the whole system, all the banks, will be flooded with trillions of paper dollars. Trillions. And that money will be all awash on the streets. It'll be worthless money. It won't be worth anything. The money that's already in your bank account, that's in U.S. currency, will buy less food. It'll buy less food. It would be a good time to buy gold, because it's going to buy less food, pay less bills. Everything's going to go up. Rent's going to go up. And they may have rent control, but rent's going to go up. Food's going to go up. Medical care is going to go up. Everything's going to go up through the roof. All of your expenses are going to go up, up, to pay for this $22 trillion. And the $6 trillion he plans on spending next year. And the only thing that can save us is the midterms. But the U.S. currency, just so you know, if you live in a foreign country, U.S. currency is about to be devalued. So if you have any money in America, pull it out now and put it somewhere else. He's going to tax and tax and tax to pay part, but not all, of the debt that he's about to create. So status quo Joe is going to increase welfare. He's going to increase government dependency because he sees government as a solution, a panacea to all of our problems. He's going to create national debt. He's going to basically trash Social Security. You won't have your Social Security anymore. So better start saving for retirement now, hopefully in a different currency other than the U.S. currency. And also, it's going to let 7,000 refugees come to America. Wow, 7,000. Worldwide, altogether, 126,000. Real generous guy. I just love status quo Joe. And Kamala Harris, she's being real good right now. She's behaving herself and biding her time. Get it? She's biding her time. Kamala Harris has become Biden's mouthpiece. And whatever he wants her to say, she says. She's been being real good. She's his mouthpiece now. She speaks on behalf of his administration. And she's handling the border crisis right now. I hear she's not handling it very well, but anyway, that's enough about Biden and Harris. I know they're such interesting characters. Winston Smith, we don't know what happened. We don't know what happened. We can't say, oh, they just keep doing this to brothers. We can't rush to judgment. We don't know what happened. The federal agents could all be liars. Or maybe this one lawyer that was present is a liar. Somebody's lying. Christopher Williams is a hero. He saved the people on that flight. There's so much else going on. My gosh, every single day there's another shooting. There's more kids getting killed. Every single day there's another shooting. It's just not safe out there. It's not safe. So I'll leave you with that. Take care of yourselves, everyone. It's a dangerous world we're living in. You gotta take care of yourself, family, and yourselves financially, physically, defense-wise, emotionally. Just take some relaxation. Take a bubble bath. It might be your last. You never know. And I'll see you next time.